Salt has always been a symbol of purity, preservation, and power. It is simple yet sacred. In the Bible, salt represents covenant, an agreement between God and His people that cannot be broken. When you use salt with intention, you're not just cleaning your home, you're cleansing your atmosphere. You're making room for God to dwell. You're saying, Lord, this house belongs to you. Asterisk asterisk salt represents God's covenant and purity. Asterisk asterisk salt is one of the oldest and simplest elements known to humanity, yet it carries a deep spiritual meaning that transcends time and tradition. It is not merely a seasoning for food or a substance to preserve what would otherwise decay. It is a divine symbol of purity, strength, and covenant. When we speak of salt in the context of faith, we are speaking of something sacred. In Scripture, salt represented an everlasting agreement between God and His people, a covenant that could not be broken or spoiled. It was a reminder that what is dedicated to God remains protected, preserved, and powerful. When you hold salt in your hand, you're holding a message from heaven. It tells you that even in small things, God can perform something mighty. Just as a pinch of salt transforms the taste of an entire meal, a small act of faith can transform the entire atmosphere of your life. Salt reminds you that it doesn't take much for God to work. It just takes belief. Every grain of salt speaks of endurance. It does not rot, it does not fade, and it does not lose its purpose. And that is what God wants your faith to look like: pure, preserved, unshakable. When you place salt in your home, you are making a spiritual declaration. This place belongs to the Lord. You are marking your space as sacred ground. It's not about superstition or ritual. It's about meaning and remembrance. You're not trying to perform magic. You're activating faith. You're saying, God, let your presence fill this house like salt fills the earth. You're acknowledging that purity is power, and that everything touched by divine presence must be made whole. Salt has the power to heal wounds, to cleanse what is impure, and to preserve what is good. In the same way, when you invite God into your home, He heals broken hearts, cleanses spiritual heaviness, and preserves peace within your walls. You begin to notice the difference not because of what the salt itself can do, but because of what your faith allows God to do through it. There's something sacred about simple things when they're placed in the hands of faith. The ordinary becomes extraordinary when it's connected to the divine. Salt is just salt until faith touches it, and then it becomes a symbol of covenant, purity, and power. So when you see that bowl of salt in your home, don't overlook it. Let it remind you that God is still working in the small, quiet ways. Let it remind you that your life, your family, and your home are under His divine covering. Salt teaches us that we are meant to preserve peace in a decaying world, to bring flavor to lifeless situations, and to carry purity wherever we go. You are the salt of your home, and through your faith, every room, every corner, and every moment can be infused with divine presence. Asterisk asterisk, place salt in room corners to cleanse hidden energy. Asterisk asterisk, every home holds energy. Some of it comes from laughter, love, and peace, while some of it lingers from worry, anger, or disappointment. The corners of a room often represent the forgotten places where this energy collects. Dust gathers there, yes, but so does tension, memory, and emotion. When you walk through your house, you may not notice it, but your spirit can feel it. That is why placing salt in the corners of your rooms is such a powerful spiritual act. It's not just about physical cleansing. It's about inviting a shift in the atmosphere. Salt has always been known for its ability to absorb and purify, just as it can draw out impurities from water or preserve what would otherwise decay. It can also symbolize the removal of spiritual heaviness. When you place salt in the corners of your rooms, you're sending a message to everything unseen. This space belongs to peace. Every grain of salt becomes a declaration of cleansing and renewal. It says to confusion, "You cannot dwell here." It says to fear, "You have no place here." It says to heaviness, "You must lift." This act is not about performing a ritual. It is about exercising faith. Faith that what was once stagnant will begin to move again. Faith that the air in your home can shift from tension to tranquility. Faith that what felt burdensome can become light again. The moment you place salt in those corners, speak over it. Say, "God, cleanse this space. Let your presence rest here. Fill every hidden place with peace and light." Because when you invite God into the forgotten corners, He begins to heal what you didn't even realize was broken. The corners of your rooms are symbolic of the corners of your heart. There are parts of your soul that you've ignored or pushed aside. The salt in those corners reminds you to cleanse within as you cleanse around you. It calls you to release old emotions, forgive past hurts, and create room for divine peace to enter again. As the physical space becomes lighter, so does your spirit. You may not see the change immediately, but you will feel it. The energy shifts, the air feels softer, and your mind feels calmer. You begin to walk through your home with a new sense of peace. Because salt, in its quiet simplicity, becomes a tool of transformation when used with faith. It absorbs what doesn't belong and makes space for what does. It reminds you that cleansing your environment is part of protecting your spirit. So go to every corner, place that salt with intention, and let it represent your prayer for renewal. Every corner that once held residue from old emotions will now hold the presence of peace. You are not just cleaning your home. You are preparing a dwelling place for divine light to live. Place salt near windows to let in light, and peace windows are the eyes of a home. They allow light to flow in, air to circulate, and vision to expand beyond the walls around you. Spiritually, they represent perspective, hope, and openness. Just as your physical eyes must remain clear to see truth, the windows of your home must remain spiritually clean to let peace and light flow freely. Placing salt near your windows is an act of faith and awareness. It is a way of saying, "God, keep this home filled with your light, and let nothing unclean enter through these openings." The window connects your inner world with the outer world. Through it, you see the sun rise, the rain fall, and life happening beyond your walls. But not everything that approaches from outside carries good energy. Negativity, jealousy, and even spiritual heaviness can find their way toward your space. Salt near the windows acts as a barrier, a declaration that your home is a sanctuary, not a space for chaos to enter. It is not the salt itself that has power, but the faith and intention behind it. Every grain stands as a reminder that God's presence guards your boundaries. When you place salt by the windows, take a moment to breathe and pray. Whisper, "Lord, let your light always shine through these windows. Let your peace fill every room. Let your love reflect in the air that flows through this home." As you do this, you will begin to sense a lightness. It is as if the air becomes softer, the space feels brighter, and the heaviness begins to lift. That is the power of combining belief with action. Light represents clarity and truth. When your windows are spiritually covered, confusion and darkness lose their grip. You begin to see situations more clearly, think more peacefully, and rest more easily. What once brought anxiety can no longer disturb your atmosphere. The salt serves as a physical symbol of invisible protection, a reminder that divine energy surrounds you and your home at all times. There will be moments when storms rage outside, both literal and spiritual, but the one who keeps God at the center of their home will remain still, knowing the light within cannot be overtaken by the darkness outside. The salt by your windows speaks this truth silently every day. It tells you that even when the world feels chaotic, your home remains grounded in peace. When you walk by those windows and see the sunlight reflect on the salt, let it remind you that God is still moving, still guarding, and still shining His presence into your life. Your windows are more than glass. They are openings for divine energy to flow. Keep them clear, keep them sacred, and let the salt stand as a symbol that light will always live here. Place salt in the kitchen to bless provision and family. The kitchen is the heart of every home. It is where warmth gathers, where stories are shared, and where love is often expressed through food. It is the place where the aroma of meals carries memories of comfort and care. Yet beyond its physical role, the kitchen holds a powerful spiritual energy. It is the center of nourishment, both for the body and the soul. Placing salt in your kitchen is not just about protection. It is about blessing the place where provision flows and gratitude begins. Salt has always symbolized preservation. It keeps food from spoiling, and in the same way, it represents how God preserves our lives from decay. When you set salt near your stove, pantry, or dining table, you are symbolically saying, Lord, let your preservation fill this home. Let our meals never run dry, our blessings never end, and our hearts never lose gratitude. It is a simple act that carries deep faith, reminding you that every bit of nourishment in your home is a gift from divine provision. The kitchen is also a place of creation. It is where raw ingredients are transformed into something beautiful and satisfying. That is how faith works, taking what seems small or ordinary and turning it into something abundant. When you place salt in your kitchen, you are declaring that God's hand is at work in your life's process. You are trusting that even the simple moments of preparing a meal or sharing a cup of tea are filled with divine presence. Salt in the kitchen also speaks peace into family relationships. It represents unity. Every time you eat together, you share not just food, but energy, words, and emotion. The salt you place there becomes a silent prayer that love will season your conversations, that understanding will flavor your communication, and that bitterness will have no place at your table. It is a reminder that meals should not only fill the stomach, but also heal the heart. In times of struggle or uncertainty, the kitchen becomes a place of testing. When cupboards feel bare, or the future seems unclear, faith must become your main ingredient. The salt resting there whispers a promise that God has never let His people go hungry, physically, emotionally, or spiritually. Just as He provided manna in the wilderness, He will continue to provide for you. So when you walk into your kitchen, let the sight of that salt remind you of abundance. Let it call you to gratitude for every blessing, no matter how small. Let it remind you that as long as faith remains in your home, lack will not prevail. The salt in your kitchen is not just for flavor. It is a symbol of favor. It tells your spirit that what God provides will always be enough, and that every meal shared under His blessing carries more than nourishment. It carries grace. Asterisk, asterisk, place salt in the bedroom to protect peace and rest. Asterisk, asterisk. The bedroom is the most intimate space in your home. It is where you lay down your burdens, where you allow your body and mind to recover, and where your heart finds stillness after the noise of the day. It is the space where dreams are born, where thoughts settle, and where your spirit recharges. That is why the atmosphere in your bedroom matters. When peace does not dwell there, rest becomes difficult, and your soul feels weary. Placing salt in your bedroom is a sacred act of reclaiming that peace. It is an invitation for divine calm to fill the room and drive away every trace of fear, worry, or unrest. Salt absorbs. It draws out impurities in water, and symbolically, it does the same in your environment. When you place a small bowl of salt near your bedside, you are asking God to draw out the emotional heaviness that tries to disturb your sleep. You are asking Him to cleanse your dreams from fear and your mind from confusion. This simple act is not superstition. It is spiritual intention. You are setting a boundary that says, only peace may dwell here. Only rest may enter here. Only light may cover me as I sleep. The world outside can be chaotic. You carry thoughts, emotions, and experiences from the day into the night without realizing it. But your bedroom should not be a continuation of that chaos. It should be a sanctuary of restoration. Salt near your bed stands as a reminder that you do not rest alone. God watches over you. His presence guards you as you sleep. His peace surrounds you like a blanket. When your heart begins to worry or your mind starts to race, that salt becomes a quiet reminder. Be still, God is here. Peaceful sleep is one of the greatest gifts of divine protection. It is in the stillness of rest that God speaks, restores, and renews. When you wake in the morning after a peaceful night, you carry that calm into the rest of your day. The salt in your bedroom becomes a symbol of that balance between body, mind, and spirit. It tells you that even while you rest, God is working. Even while you sleep, His hand covers you. There is a different kind of strength that comes from a restful soul. You think more clearly, you feel more centered, and you face challenges with grace. Placing salt in your bedroom may seem like a small thing, but faith often begins with small things. Every night when you see it, let it remind you that your peace is protected, your space is sacred, and your sleep is watched over by divine love. In that awareness, you do not just close your eyes, you rest in the safety of God's presence. Asterisk, asterisk, place salt in the bedroom to protect peace and rest. Asterisk, asterisk. The bedroom is the most intimate space in your home. It is where you lay down your burdens, where you allow your body and mind to recover, and where your heart finds stillness after the noise of the day. It is the space where dreams are born, where thoughts settle, and where your spirit recharges. That is why the atmosphere in your bedroom matters. When peace does not dwell there, rest becomes difficult and your soul feels weary. Placing salt in your bedroom is a sacred act of reclaiming that peace. It is an invitation for divine calm to fill the room and drive away every trace of fear, worry, or unrest. Salt absorbs. It draws out impurities in water, and symbolically, it does the same in your environment. When you place a small bowl of salt near your bedside, you are asking God to draw out the emotional heaviness that tries to disturb your sleep. You are asking Him to cleanse your dreams from fear and your mind from confusion. This simple act is not superstition. It is spiritual intention. You are setting a boundary that says, only peace may dwell here, only rest may enter here, only light may cover me as I sleep. The world outside can be chaotic. You carry thoughts, emotions, and experiences from the day into the night without realizing it. But your bedroom should not be a continuation of that chaos. It should be a sanctuary of restoration. Salt near your bed stands as a reminder that you do not rest alone. God watches over you. His presence guards you as you sleep. His peace surrounds you like a blanket. When your heart begins to worry or your mind starts to race, that salt becomes a quiet reminder. Be still, God is here. Peaceful sleep is one of the greatest gifts of divine protection. It is in the stillness of rest that God speaks, restores, and renews. When you wake in the morning after a peaceful night, you carry that calm into the rest of your day. The salt in your bedroom becomes a symbol of that balance between body, mind, and spirit. It tells you that even while you rest, God is working. Even while you sleep, His hand covers you. There is a different kind of strength that comes from a restful soul. You think more clearly, you feel more centered, and you face challenges with grace. Placing salt in your bedroom may seem like a small thing, but faith often begins with small things. Every night when you see it, let it remind you that your peace is protected, your space is sacred, and your sleep is watched over by divine love. In that awareness, you do not just close your eyes, you rest in the safety of God's presence. Asterisk, asterisk, when you use salt with faith, watch God move. Asterisk, asterisk, faith has a way of transforming the ordinary into something extraordinary. Salt by itself is simple, common, and often overlooked. But when it is used with faith, it becomes a spiritual reminder of God's power, presence, and protection. When you place salt in your home, you are not performing a ritual. You are declaring a truth. You are saying that this home belongs to light, that every room is a dwelling place of peace, and that every corner of your space carries the mark of divine covering. Faith gives meaning to what is simple, and it is faith that causes God to move in response to your belief. The act of using salt becomes powerful when your heart is involved. It is not the substance that changes your life. It is the faith behind the act. God honors intention, not appearance. When you use salt in your home and speak words of faith, you are aligning your space with His presence. You are inviting peace to stay, confusion to leave, and harmony to reign. You are saying to every unseen force that your house is not open to fear, conflict, or negativity. It is a spiritual declaration that this ground is holy, this family is protected, and this atmosphere is filled with grace. When you begin to see changes, when the heaviness lifts, when relationships soften, when your mind feels calmer, it is not the salt that performed it. It is God responding to your faith. The salt was just the symbol. The faith was the key. God moves through symbols because they connect the physical and the spiritual. He knows that we sometimes need something tangible to express what we believe. Salt, simple as it is, becomes that reminder. It tells your spirit every day that purity, peace, and power belong here. Using salt in your home can also shift your inner environment. It teaches you to be mindful, to live with intention, to treat your home as sacred. Every time you see that salt, you remember to keep your words pure, your actions kind, and your thoughts centered in peace. Because what good is a clean space if the heart within it remains troubled? As you cleanse your home, you cleanse your spirit. As you preserve your atmosphere, you preserve your faith. So when you use salt, do it with purpose. Do it while speaking blessings. Say, God, fill this house with your presence. Let nothing unclean remain here. Let your peace flow through these walls. You may not see the movement instantly, but God always honors faith. Over time, you will sense His presence stronger. Your home will feel lighter, and your spirit will rest easier. That is the quiet power of faith. It turns the simple into the sacred. When salt meets belief, miracles begin to move, and what once felt heavy begins to glow with divine peace.